Go ahead and record this sucker. Why not? You guys ready to nerd rage? Yeah. All right. So guys, I just had a good little chat with Leah, who I think is going to jump on the call here in a second as well. She's the person I speak with right before the call. So she gets an hour straight, which, special. So anyways, we were talking like, she's been with me for 1 full year. So she literally started the like smack dab middle of the pandemic. And we've been working together every single week for an entire year. And, listen, like you can imagine, we've had really, really amazing, profound breakthroughs. And then we've had just like slug it out and just go through the freaking trenches, right? And that's like, one full loop around the sun. And a lot of stuff happens, a lot of stuff pops up in anyone's life during the course of a year. And throughout that period, there is so many opportunities to quit. There is so many justifiable, reasonable, arguable moments where, it would have been fine. It wouldn't have surprised me. You know what I mean? But to Leah's defense and to her credit, she just kept showing up. She just kept putting one foot in front of the other and doing what she could, right? And here we are a year later, and we're on a huge upswing, right? She's been just submitting meal logs every day. She's been paying attention. She's been just doing the boring work, just doing the stuff that no one else wants to freaking do, right? And what we realize is that what we're doing here, it's nutrition. Yeah, we're doing our squats in our living room. Yeah, it's fitness, whatever. But really what it is, it's a microcosm for how we function with the rest of our life. And we're just simply using nutrition and fitness as that microcosm to help us evolve as a human being in other areas of our life as well, right? Because what you realize is that the reason we're on this call is maybe you have 10 pounds to lose, maybe you have 50 pounds to lose, but we can't really unpack that. We can't really talk about nutrition and weight loss without really talking about lifestyle, talking about habits, talking about patterns, and talking about all the little choices, subconscious or conscious, that got us to this place that we're at right now. It's like elevating our awareness to that level of conscious competence, where we finally see now all the little choices that we've made throughout the years, all the little rationalizations, justifications that got us to the point where we realized we had to make a change, right? We can't live like this anymore. And so, Leah, you just jumped on, but I was just giving them a little insight of our last call and just how it started out really great, amazing. The first 12 weeks, crushed the goal. Her before and after pictures are in the group. And then life happened. We went through it, and Leah really had to dig deep to keep going, and at any point she could have justifiably not continued on. And then now we're on an upswing, and the breakthroughs that are happening aren't necessarily physical anymore. They're mental breakthroughs. It's clarity, because what's happening is when you commit to yourself, because you're in this program, but really this is a gift you're giving yourself. This is a commitment that you're making for yourself. It trains you to trust yourself because you have follow through. And when you can set out for a target, accomplish a goal, create a positive feedback loop and learning point, it gives you confidence and power to achieve other things in your life, right? I won't say what Sarah and I talked about, but she has now a bigger goal that she's going for too. That's exactly 1 year. Well, not exactly, but about a year from now. That maybe a few months back, that wouldn't even have been on her radar. And maybe I'm making an assumption, but she's agreeing with me. So it wouldn't even have been on her radar. But because of the success she's having now over the last couple of months, it's now empowered her to make bigger and loftier commitments. And that's the freaking point, right? That is the whole point. You have to get a win. It's psychology 101, right? You don't train animals by punishing them, you train them by reward. And we train ourselves by reward. And so when we set a little goal, and actually Amber this morning sent me a message as well saying that she had a breakthrough, and that was like really inspired her as well. And so we have these little wins, and then it's like, well, what else can I do now, right? Well, what else is possible? And that is the essence of self-esteem. That is the essence of confidence. And then we just start stacking these wins, and we get so much momentum that you can't even know right now what your next goal will be in a year or two from now, right? It's almost like we have to just keep evolving in our consciousness to get to the point where we're just making these awesome commitments and just crushing these goals. And so all that to say, what I want to just touch on today, is what really the essence of, like, what is your life going to be like if you quit? If you quit not just this program, but really just nutrition or fitness, right? And I want to preface this whole thing by saying the reason that you guys are here, the reason you guys are doing this is because you give a shit, right? So if you didn't give a shit, we would have our initial call, and you'd been like, or you wouldn't even gotten the call with me, more realistically, because you would have been, it would just wouldn't even have been on your radar, you know? So the reason we're even in this program is because you give a shit. And now I'm going to venture a guess and say that in the past, and maybe in the past, maybe in this current program that we're in now, there have been moments. I know Leah's had moments, right? I know Amber Lee's had moments. And I would imagine I know Melissa's probably had moments too, where you've thought, can I? Is this right? Should I? So let's explore a little bit here. What happens if we did that? And let's just explore what would happen if we did decide to quit. Okay, so how to know when to quit. Let's go ahead and weigh the options here, guys. So really what we're doing, just to give you guys the 10,000 foot perspective here, is we are choosing between the pain of self-discipline or the pain of regret, right? Essentially. Now, the cool thing is that if we can just tolerate a little self-discipline and be our own guardian, in a sense, be our own parent, just get out of bed on time, just eat your vegetables, just be your own parent, right? As annoying as that might be in the moment, ultimately what it's going to do is alleviate long-term pain through regret. And call me crazy, but I'd much rather experience acute pain of struggle and self-discipline in order to experience long-term satisfaction. And that is the cold hard truth, is that, hey, no one makes it out alive. We're all going to be at a point in our life at some time where we look back and we can say, yeah, I did it. Or we can say, fuck, I just kept making excuses, right? And so we're all at a place right now where we get to make that choice today. Pain of a little self-discipline, the pain of regret. And I want you to frame this in your own minds of, don't look at this as a sacrifice. Don't look at this as a trade-off. Self-discipline is the gift you get to give yourself to achieve your goals. I want you to think of self-discipline as the bridge that gets you from where you are to where you want to be, because you got to pay the piper somehow, right? If nothing changed, nothing changes. And so the act of effort, the act of self-discipline is the bridge that brings you from where you are, where you know you need to make a change to who you want to become, right? So you have to reframe it. This is a gift you get to give yourself. Because at the end of the day, guys, the desire for this is never going to go away. And that's why I said the reason it's never going to go away is because we're on this call right now. So that's how I know you're never not going to want to do this, because you're the type of person that's on this call. So you give a shit. And so you're never not going to give a shit. You might go through moments where you tell yourself you don't care and it's, oh, who gives a shit? But a year is going to go by and you're going to be like, all right, let's ramp up again. Let's get going again. And we don't want to be stuck in that cycle of fits and starts and ebbs and flows and blah, 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 right? That what I call the cycle of insanity. We want to break out of that. And the way we do that is by just doing the freaking boring work every day and just stacking those wins, building your confidence, building momentum, getting some traction, and embracing the process, embracing the fact that, hey, you know what? It's not easy. And that's okay, because when you know how to fight for it, you know how to keep it, right? So a lot of conversations I have with my clients are around, time frames, right? Like I just had a girl, she's not in the call, I won't mention any names, but life it kind of smacked her around over the last few months. And so she finished up the 12 weeks with me, her initial 12 weeks. And I think we only lost like 10 pounds, right? And it was a tough call in the last one because it wasn't her fault necessarily. It was just like circumstance just kind of got her. The kid was in camp. She had a huge allergic reaction to this food that she ate at dinner one night that like swelled her up like 8 pounds and took weeks to go away. There was just all kinds of stuff. And so we're on our last call before her initial 12 weeks were over. And she was, like, hey, I only lost 10 pounds. What the hell? And I said, if you lost 10 pounds 4 times in a row over the course of a year, would you look back on that year as a failure? That'd be 40 pounds. Would you look back on 40 pounds in a year as a failure? Of course not. She was like, no. Well, that's the path you're on, right? So that's success. And it's getting away from finite thinking to infinite thinking. This is not something that we're doing for 12 weeks. This is something you're doing for the rest of your life. So embrace this as just who you are and not as something you're doing. And understand that for the rest of your life, it is unreasonable to assume that you're going to have this moment where it's sunshine and rainbows and the sky opens and the clouds part and everything just falls right into place. Well, hey, sorry, that's just really not how life operates. And so understanding that, getting out of finite thinking, thinking more infinitely, thinking more of just a lifestyle as opposed to a thing you're doing, will break that cycle of being disappointed because you didn't achieve a goal as fast as you thought you should have, right? Even though it was 10 times faster than had been previously, because the previous 12 years had resulted in X amount of weight gain, and the preceding 12 weeks had resulted in X amount of weight loss. So in that context, it's a massive win, right? So it's shifting that perspective, adopting that mindset. This is just who we are now. This is just what we do, right? And I know it's tedious, and I know it's boring, and I know that pulling out your damn phone and clocking in your damn calories and hopping on the damn scale and entering the damn weight into the app is annoying. The alarm going off at 5:30 is annoying. Having to get off the couch at 9 p.m. and go brush my teeth before I go to bed is annoying. But these are just things that we do because if we don't, then our whole life just results in massive entropy. And then whatever discomfort we experience by just doing what we had to do pales in comparison to the mountain of stress and chaos that our life will devolve into if we don't take care of this stuff, right? So what happens if you quit your nutrition and your fitness practice? And this is sort of like what I wanted to mention with you guys, of just the reason we're on this call is because the reality is that this desire isn't just going to, you can't, you guys are incapable of convincing yourself that you don't need to do this, right? Like you might momentarily do it, but for the long haul, you guys are incapable, myself included, of truly convincing yourself that you don't have to do this, right? So here's what would happen if you did, right? You would tell yourself, I just want to live my life, right? Maybe you guys can relate to that. I certainly flirt with that idea sometimes, and I'm freaking trying to, be a good role model for you guys. And I'm sitting here just like, I'd rather just eat a brick of cheese and drink a bottle of wine tonight. Probably shouldn't, right? And so it's like we rationalize these impulses by saying, I want balance. I just want to live my life, right? But what's going to happen is eventually, if you decide to do that, you will start to gain all of that weight back that you lost, and then some. And then within a year or so, you're going to come to that breaking point where you can't live like this anymore, right? So you can't live like this and you can't live like that, right? The difference is if you live like this, yes, it's tedious, but at least you're healthy, and at least you like what you see when you look in the mirror, and at least you're getting compliments, at least you're confident because you're proving to yourself that you can follow through on commitments. And it can't live like that. But if you do live like that, you're freaking miserable. You're a shut-in. You don't want to be seen in public photos anymore. You're declining invitations to go out socially. You're feeling less and less confident with your own ability to follow through on things, and it makes your life and your surface area of your life just keep shrinking, into the point to where you hit a breaking point, and you're like, I can't live like that either. I have to change. So we have to always keep pulling this wisdom into the present moment of, what do I want now versus what do I want most, right? And challenge what you want now, because what you want now is impulsive. It's ego. It's just our ego in the moment. I want this. I want that. You deserve this. Give me that purse. Give me that drink. Give me that treat. You deserve it. You work hard. Da, 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 da. That's your freaking ego trying to pull you back into your comfort zone, trying to pull you back into your status quo. But as Lee and I discussed in our call earlier, there's no such thing as status quo. You're either expanding or you're retracting. That's universal, right? No one is subsisting. Subsisting is actually just a form of degrading. And so your ego trying to pull you back into your comfort zone and your status quo is really just your life shrinking back into itself. And so to be expansive is this constant reminder, this constant challenge of making that calculus, making that decision to honor what you want most versus what you want now. Not to say you can't have a little fun sometimes. Sometimes it's okay. But it's like keeping that as your North Star. That is your beacon. What do I want most? What do I want most, right? Like Sarah and I know what she wants most now, at least for the next year. So she can just keep pulling that into like what I want most, and then influencing her decisions in the moment based off of that. And so you can't expect yourself to always want to do this. When people say, I'm not motivated, what I've realized as a freaking nutrition coach for this many years is that I'm not motivated. Half the time I don't want to work out. Half the time I don't want to really prepare the same meal. But it's okay. It's okay to not want to do it, right? And I think that that's just the difference, right? It's like you don't have to feel like it, right? It's okay to not want to do it. But part of being a productive adult is doing what you have to do when you have to do it, whether you feel like it or not, right? Because we all know how that goes, right? Like the I don't want to. I'd rather not eat that. But then once you just do it and you just eat it, you're like, well, that wasn't so bad, and you feel better because of it, right? And so it's just always keeping that wisdom of hindsight in the present moment, and just realizing that like it's okay to not always be motivated or not always want to do it, but just simply going through the motions and just checking off the boxes, hitting your numbers, doing the best you can when you can. So when we look back over the course of a year or 3 years or whatever, and you just see the utter and indisputable transformation that took place because day in and day out, whether you felt like it or not, you just went through the motions. And that is the number one distinguishing factor between people who ultimately get to where they want to be or the ones that just keep toiling in their own excuses, is whether they were just able to just put one foot in front of the other and just continue on in spite of their lack of motivation, right? Motivation is for amateurs. But anybody who's been doing this for 10, 15 years, yeah, it's not about motivation. It's about consistency. It's about going for it. And now within that, we plan for some occasions. We plan for a dinner out. We plan for a couple of drinks with our friends. We plan for a weekend getaway. We plan for a little vacation. And all that is absolutely on the table. The difference is we don't just go ham. We do it with a little intention. We save up a little calories, just like you'd save up a little bit of money for a vacation. You'd want to save up a little bit of calories for it. So everything's intentional, everything's thoughtful, and that's balance, right? Balance isn't, I don't want to weigh myself or track my food. I want to have more balance in my life. Well, I think it depends on what your definition of balance is. For me, it's finding out how to include all that, right, without abusing it. Because at the end of the day, my personal belief is that indulgence is only pleasurable after a little restraint. Can you guys agree? Can I get a little high five with that? A little thumbs up, maybe? Yeah, Amanda. Because maybe you guys have ever gone through a period of your life where you've overindulged for multiple days on end. And this fantasy of like, yeah, we're just going to eat and drink and eat and drink. And then after like 3 days, you're like, oh, this is miserable. But after a month of crushing your numbers, hitting your steps, smashing your workouts, counting your calories, you have a little weekend getaway plan with your friends. And now that's rewarding. That's fun, right? That's when indulging is satisfying after you've earned it, right? You put in the work. So there you guys go. So how to know when to quit? Never, because the job's never done. All right, cool. Well, that's all I got. Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to comment on anything? Anybody want to add to this? You guys are all muted.
No, nothing to add. Good stuff.
Nothing to add.
Yeah. Cool. I wanted to give Lisa a shout out. We have crossed the 20-pound mark. Whoop. She's fighting hard. We got goals, baby. We got goals, and we're on track. I want to give Amber a shout out. I think we're just this close to 20. She has been crushing. We've really seen some just awesome transformations internally, externally, just her overall awareness with food and nutrition, and just she's hitting me up like, okay, I want to have 3 Trulies with my friends at the pool party on Saturday. So how do I make sure that I don't go over my calories? And as silly as she might think that question is, it is the very reason why she is getting the results that she gets, because she is proactive, she's participating. And so don't think that you guys are annoying me if you pick me up and ask me those things. Amanda and her and I are constantly messaging each other, doing voice memos back and forth. And Amanda, where are we at right now? 35 pounds?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
there is a direct correlation between the people who are constantly messaging with me and communicating with me and the results that they're achieving. So it's participation, right, guys?
Nice. Thank you.
So really great work, you guys. I'm proud of you all. If you guys have any questions that you'd like me to do a talk on, please let me know. I'm always down for some good fuel for these things. Other than that, have a lovely Thursday and come into this weekend with intention. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace.
Bye. See ya.
Thank
Bye, guys.
you.
Bye.